Hi, everyone. Welcome to episode 7 of How the Business is Played. I'm your host, Charece Williams, brand, sports, and entertainment marketing executive. And I am excited to bring to you Annette Parker. Annette Parker is the head of marketing for Eastside Golf, but I'd love for her to take a moment to give you a little bit of her background and how she got to Eastside Golf.
Sure. Thanks for having me, Charece. I joined Eastside Golf internally in January of this year, and I've recently moved to New York. I've relocated from Florida. So I am now 3 months. I moved in March. So I'm like almost 3 months into being in the city. So that's been a nice new adventure for me. But yeah, my background is in marketing. My passion is golf. And I've had the fortunate opportunity to blend both in my career to date. I was, prior to being at Eastside Golf full time, I was their agent, their brand agent, brand strategist. It's CAA Sports. So we aren't really agents like talent agents when we work with brands. We are brand strategists and marketing strategists for them. And I brought Eastside into CAA when they were very, very early and young because I saw something in the brand. And I thought that we at CAA could help them grow and help them learn the business, help them make connections to help grow and improve their business. And we just have been very close ever since. So I was their agent from the outside, helping them with brand partnerships and strategic alignments and event marketing. And then they're like, great, come on inside. And I'm like, oh, not yet. That was a while ago. They asked, and I was like, no, I love my job. And I love what I can do for you on this seat, on this side of the table. That was very important for me to try and make the most of all the opportunities that were being afforded to us. And then, as time would have it, just the stars aligned, the timing was perfect that now I'm here in New York, in-house head of marketing.
And I love that you were in New York. We had the pleasure just this past weekend to attend the home opener for the New York Liberty, which I believe was your first WNBA game.
I'm such not a WNBA fan. I didn't even know it was the home opener. I was just like, so I want to go to a basketball game. I'm like, well, I want to meet people. I'm new to the city. And Charece was like, I'm going to go. And so let's meet in person. And my sister's like, oh, the season started? I said, I guess so. I'm going to a game. And lo and behold, it's like the trophy, the ring ceremony, the banner going up. I'm like, oh, it's like the first game. And they won last. Okay, I'm in a good spot.
Yes, you were definitely in a good spot. And I must say, the New York Liberty does such a great job with the in-game experience. So for your first game, you really got a good one. How would you compare that to going to an NBA game, which I'm assuming you've gone to NBA games before, right?
I have. And I remember going to my first, and I was in Chicago, and I went to my first Bulls game. And I'll lead with this. I'm not a fan of watching basketball. I didn't like playing the sport in high school, so I didn't like watching the sport professionally. I still do love watching college basketball. I went to University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, go Heels. So I had, after my first 2 years, we had better pedigree of players and coaches, and it was just awesome to watch Carolina basketball. So I'm very narrow on my basketball consumption. It doesn't spill into the professional ranks. However, I did go to an NBA game earlier in my in time in Chicago, and I was like, it's cool, but I thought it was going to be a little bit more than that. And I walked away. I'm like, I thought they would have like played music the entire game. I remember asking that. I'm like, I thought someone said they played music the entire time. Like, no, they just before the plays start. So I was like, okay, well, it's fine. It was a fun vibe. The WNBA game, Liberty, they did not stop playing music. And I remember looking at you, I said, they keep the music going. They don't even turn it down. And you said, like, no, they keep it up. I'm like, oh, this is a vibe. And it's not just because I love music all the time. I think a lot. So I'm pretty quiet most of the time. I don't play a lot of music. But in that environment, it was just so fun to see the game playing, and I paid attention to the game far more than an NBA game, and to have the music going. And it was a really fun environment.
Well, I think WNBA games are great. I've gone to quite a few, obviously, but the Liberty do a great job. And it's probably why, this is like hot breaking news, that they were just listed at the highest valued women's sports franchise at 450 million. So the New
Not
York Liberty
that's wild.
valued at 450 million.
That's wild. But also kudos to them and makes sense. From the moment you stepped in, I stepped into the stadium. There was I just knew I was not just handheld, like taken care of, but everyone was there on mission to put on the best experience, from the guy who scanned my digital ticket to the woman who's like, take the bracelet and then go this way to get to your to get to your seats. It was really well thought through and a very fun vibe. And then all the dancers, every generation, I loved it. And how they called them, like, was it like the little torches and
Yeah, and timeless torches.
timeless torches?
Which is sad because based on the age of the timeless torches, I was doing the math. I think they said that they were like from ages 42 to 70 or something. And that's when I realized that my mom and I would like be on the same dance team.
That would be fun, right? That would be fun.
That's where I am in life.
Dance. Well, she would like, I can dance. She doesn't dance like that, but she would have a good time. She would have a good time.
But that's the thing, like what they put on, it helps to grow the experience, the fan experience. It's such a vibe. Celebrities want to sit on their celebrity row. It's just shown the growth of what they were able to accomplish and really making a name for themselves in New York City. But it's just also women's sports on the rise. Like, I think maybe in the same article when I read around the Liberty, it was saying how I think it was FC Chelsea women's team might have just made history 2 weeks prior at like being valued at 230 something million as the highest, valued women's team. And then here came the Liberty right behind it. So both of those are huge numbers and definitely just shows the growth and trajectory. And it's exciting. I think that all the emerging leagues should feel hopeful, whether you're Unrivaled, whether you're League One volleyball, Athletes Unlimited. It just seems like people are looking at women's sports is not just something that you have to spend money on. You can actually make money off of it as well, because it's truly a growth and big industry.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. Can't wait to go to more games. They're going to get my money.
Good, exactly. And I'll be seeing you there because it was such a good time. I was really enjoyed having a good time with you. But money. So a sport that golf comes to mind when I think about money, whether it's what's happening in LIV and all the dollars that are being paid out there from what's been happening over time on the PGA Tour, and even just the cost to play the game and get good at it. It's one of those ones that can have a barrier. Eastside Golf has such an intriguing story in terms of it finding its space within golf and within culture. So I'd love for you to share about Eastside Golf. And also, if you wouldn't mind, I know you just had a new campaign with Sprite Tea, which I know a little something about that just launched this week. I would love to hear how that came about as well.
Yes. So for those who don't know, Eastside Golf, and this is our logo Swingman guide. This is one of you can't buy this hoodie, so don't even ask for it. But it's one of my favorite hoodies that we made. And Eastside Golf is a golf apparel and lifestyle brand, and founded by two gentlemen who went to Morehouse, played college golf, and stayed friends. Olajuwon started the brand. Olajuwon Ajanaku is the founder and creative director, and he started the brand with the sole purpose of funding his professional golf career. So to your point, golf's expenses as a professional athlete are high. It's not like basketball where you can just pick up a ball, go shoot hoops somewhere, anywhere, put a bucket up that you can play. Professional golf, and that's the other thing, professional golf's path to entry to become a professional is rather tenuous. It's a little bit complicated. Whether you are going through Q School, which is held every fall at the end, towards the end of the professional season, to try and get carded. And getting carded means that you get playing status on the PGA Tour or on the Korn Ferry Tour, which is the feeder program. If you don't make it through Q School, well, your opportunities are to play still professionally, but on many tour circuits. So you're playing, Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday type events, and trying to just get enough credentials or status maybe to get a sponsor exemption into another type of tournament where you can get and elevate your playing game. You don't necessarily get to, it's not like, I'm trying to liken it to, it's a little bit like minor league baseball. You're playing minor league for a long, long time, and then you get called up into, or depending on, how good you are, you get called into the majors by going through the farm system. And its farm system's very tiered, and you're playing the levels of minor league baseball until you get picked into majors. Kind of similar in golf, in that you can be playing golf for a long time before you get your PGA Tour card, unless you're a bit of a phenom. And like the Jordan Spieths of the world, Colin Morikawa's, they came out of college. I think Jordan was about to get a sponsor exemption, but ended up winning a tournament. And when you win a PGA Tour tournament, you're carded. You get it's like promoted it right in. Colin you come out high ranked in college as an amateur. If you come out of college golf, you can go as an amateur, high ranking. Oftentimes tournaments will offer an extension. We call it the sponsor exemption, to get you into a playing field. But if you don't have that luxury of being in the top, you will play the mini circuits. And that's what Olajuwon did. And it just gets expensive. You need about safely maybe $150,000 to baseline support you. That's travel, wow. That's entry into tournaments, that's physio, that's like equipment support. And then, you are on the road. You're on the road.
You can't really earn money on another job per se. Like this is your full-time job, and you have to have that money.
Yes.
In the bank.
So a lot of athletes who are looking to go professional or working to find that route, they'll work at a golf course, which allows them to either, just be around the environment so they can get their practice in. And then they'll go into those entries. You can also become professional by Monday qualifying into certain tournaments. They'll hold a tournament on the Monday before going into that event. And golf tournaments, professional competition is held Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So it's 4 rounds of competitive golf. So the U.S. Open is a major within the tour or the golf landscape, and they just had their Monday qualifier this past Monday, which is like the longest day in golf. Mm-hmm. You go in, you play, you pay your entry, you go, and they take in every different region. They take the top. Like in Dallas, it was top 7 athletes who scored best. They get to go into the field for the major. That's not every major. You don't get to Monday qualifying to Augusta. No, you need to be World Golf Ranking points. You need to be a past champion, or you have that status. That's how you get into Augusta. So every tournament's a little different, but it's all ultimately, to be an athlete in this space, it is expensive.
Yeah, for sure. Mm-hmm. I remember like whenever I was working at Wasserman, and at the time it was Wachovia, aging myself. Now it's Fargo. Wow. So the Wells Fargo Championship, and just doing some work to help, bring that to life. It really helped open my eyes to the world of golf. And then recently during my time with Under Armour, with Curry Golf being the sponsor for Howard University, it gave me the opportunity to get a little closer to what was happening there, which is why, Curry Golf it reminds me, not the same story, but similar to Eastside, in that, in terms of just having a different vision for what golf apparel looks like and feels like, a bit more of a crossover into lifestyle. But I would love to just, again, that campaign that dropped this week, I thought that was really smart. For Sprite, I know Sprite plus Tea, and obviously I knew that was going to be launching, and how important it would be to find a brand that was culturally relevant and had a unique place in culture, or had a unique space in terms of doing something differently. Like this was tea that's different, right? It also has Sprite. And then there's Eastside Golf, this golf apparel, but different. So I'd love to talk a little bit about the brand itself and how that sort of partnership came to life.
Yeah. So to go start first with the brand, the purpose of Eastside, the mission that we have as a company, is to attract more people into the game of golf by showing that there's authenticity that they can bring to the game. That being authentic and being yourself is what is driving where everyone can benefit from this sport. So it's to expose youth and non-golfers into the game of golf, and let them feel comfortable in the clothes as themselves. What Earl and O identified when O made the logo, it's representative of how he feels when he plays golf. So it's a man in jeans and a chain going one way, swinging. He's got a ball cap on. This is how he feels when he plays golf. And Earl encouraged him to put on a t-shirt. He made it a logo for himself. So Olajuwon's like, I have a brand. If I want to be a golfer, I just had my little logo. And that's what he was going to have to represent himself on the professional circuit. Earl saw it and was like, Earl Cooper's his co-founder. He's like, you should put that on a shirt and make something from it. And so he did. And that's when it really took off. So the clothing line was built to, again, fund O's professional golf mission. But he uncovered in that there's a space where people were trying to find, how can I be, one, am I welcome in this sport? And two, how can I show up? Because I don't want to necessarily follow a norm of what golf historically has presented itself as. So they found this opportunity to reach people where they are, which is not necessarily on the golf course, and being authentically themselves, which is where, when Sprite was introduced into the group and concept here, made a lot of sense, because Sprite seeks to sit in that space of disruptors, that younger demographic. They challenge kind of the norms. And as a brand, Eastside is a brand that also challenges the norms a bit, is disruptive. There was synergy. So we have an investor who made the recommendation that Eastside be considered in a part of the opportunity as Sprite was having conversations. And then their agency reached out. They said, we have a concept. We'd love to talk to you about it. What do you think? And they showed us a script. We're like, this looks fun. I'm like, yeah, this could be a good time. And today, this Friday, we just launched, what dropped was their taste test teaser. So and that was, when I tell you, like, things happen very fast in marketing, like, you know this, but from concept to execution, we probably sat on, that was probably like maybe 4 weeks. They're like, I was like, when are we scheduling the shoot? They're like, we're working on it. I'm like, I am holding these dates, like, with my life. I'm like, guys, do not go anywhere. You need to be in Atlanta. We will get to Atlanta for this, shoot. And maybe like right before, like, all right, we've got the date, we're locking into Atlanta, like, get there. And we did a 1-day shoot. We were in and out, but it came very fast and furious. And so we're excited to see the product in market. I did not taste it yet. I know it sounds weird, but they had it everywhere on set. I said, I kind of want to wait. I want to wait till it's like for everyone to taste. And so we're going to get a bunch of product and taste it. I think
was it the majority? Or was it a different agency?
Majority. Yeah. We worked with majority for that. They were fun. Yeah. And really, really great team to work with. And they were shooting several concepts at once. Because when you see there was a taste test, but Eastside is actually featured in a brand spot that's airing, that's going to drop in June. So that 30-second clip is more storytelling with Eastside, with Earl and O centered in the conversation. And it's very fun and comical, and it'll be fun to see that roll out. So that's coming in June. And they have their initial brand product spot rolled out also this week, but a taste test went up on socials Friday, today.
Well, I can tell you that 4 weeks is probably the fastest timeline I have ever seen for a commercial. I definitely, when has that brand seats, had a little bit more lead time than that. I don't know, 8, 10, 12 weeks. So I think it's super
working on it. They've been working on it for a while, but when we got introduced to it, and I was like, it was maybe it was like 6 weeks, because I came in, I was in the city in February, but this thing was shot. When it was shot, I had moved into the city, but I was out. It was like, we got to turn around and get this thing done. So very tight. And that's not the first time we've shot a commercial. The week before, I was like, guys, where are we shooting this spot? And the agency's like, we're working on getting the course thing dialed down. And I'm like, okay, but we've got to book a flight somewhere. And thankfully that one was also easy, but truly a week. That was like a week turnaround.
Oh, man. So those are the things that people do not know. People do not understand that when they see these polished commercials come on while you get up to get your snacks, while you're watching whatever on TV or scrolling social, there are a lot of people running around struggling to get approvals and decisions to bring that to life. But, when it comes down to, and I love what you said around the two brands having that synergy of both being disruptors, when things sort of align, it makes it easier to push the envelope from a timing perspective to get it done, because you just know your base, your foundation has
Yeah.
something similar. And the teas on social I found super fun. I think one of my favorite parts at points in, as you said it, the spot that's going to feature Eastside truly and tell the story is coming in June. But people who really know Eastside recognize the apparel on the
Yes.
spot that was talking about the taste test. So I think that's also very cool and a nice little way to kind of see who your real people are. And
Yeah.
for me, it was eye-opening that people recognize the logo and they
Oh,
recognize the brand.
right away. When they see, we call it Eastside in the Wild. When people see Eastside in the Wild, it's just like, oh yeah, that I know that brand, and look at them now, like with the whole nationally service product like Sprite. This is huge. So we're excited about this momentum and what it's going to do to help even elevate Eastside and increase our brand awareness. Like, to be honest, I brought in-house to help drive our marketing efforts as a company. We have great storytelling, but when it comes to marketing, I think the data analytics side is as strong as the creative side. And so we're putting into the foundation that data, consumer insights, and target audience metrics that will help make our marketing smarter. That's why when the agency was listing out their demographics and their psychographics of their target audience, I'm like, yeah, first of all, spot on, like absolutely. And then it meshes well with what we are starting to identify with as our audience and consumer base as well.
I love that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering, because I think when you and I were talking, you mentioned that you have a few pro athletes. But right now, as we know, now collegiate athletes are able to make some money via NIL. Give me your strategy. But I just read that there was a softball player, a young woman who just inked $1 million in total. She's a pitcher at Texas Tech. And obviously it's a combination of things that go into the pot to make it happen, but brands oftentimes play a role. I think in general, would love your perspective on NIL and brand partnerships. And if there's a story for Eastside Golf in here, I'd love to hear that too, of course.
Yeah. NIL as a whole, that whole bucket of worms is very fascinating, especially with the NCAA ruling this week. I think they're going to just kind of relinquish all amateurism and let each conference decide amongst themselves how they're going to manage their athletes, which it went from Wild Wild West to like Waterworld, I guess. Like, y'all gotta let it go. Yeah. All right. So, and then even that a softball athlete, I was a transfer portal where they're making that type of money. And softball, though, and what is fascinating, what I do appreciate about NIL is the people who skyrocketed first were non-revenue generating sports women.
Yes.
Athletes. Gymnastics went through the roof first, and softball was up there, women's basketball a little bit, but it wasn't like the immediate, okay, every basketball and football player are going to get all the things. They do definitely are getting paid. The transfer portal's outrageous. Move these kids around. But it really helped elevate a bit other different athletes. And being a non-revenue alum of track and field, around non-revenue sport, I love seeing other athletes being able to take advantage of that. Where Eastside plays in this space, we definitely aren't funding people to jump in the transfer portal. However, as a brand, we do see the value of having our product around a younger demographic, because eventually they're going to grow either into our space or we're going to grow with them as they become our more consumer target audience. I think our core probably sits around that 25 to 40 block age demographic. We definitely skew a little bit older of our loyalists, but who will likely can engage and move our needle will be in that age group. And we're doing some measurements right now to confirm those thoughts and assumptions and or pivot if we're all wrong, but that's what data is for. We do have 3 athletes on our roster who are in the NIL category. So they're still collegiate athletes. One is a woman, Bailey Davis at University of Tennessee. We have Matthew Vital, who I think is a junior at Temple University. And then we have Kihei Akina, who just wrapped up his freshman year at Brigham Young University. And Kihei, our approach for each is very different. Kihei is a rising star in the golf world in general, like very talented, very successful, to date. Bailey fits our ethos and our vibe, and wanting to diversify and have a woman in our roster was a target there. And Vital, strong connections into just knowing Earl and O, but his golf play. He's won some tournaments, PGA junior events, so a strong athlete in his own rights as well. So there are a lot of people who reach out to say, like, can you sponsor me, NIL this, NIL that. We're keeping that roster kind of tight right now and utilizing them. The first time, and when I came in, I said, we're going to utilize our athletes. So I built our summer shoot utilizing them, which is the first time we ever did that. I'm like, we've got them. We have assets to use. Let's put them to work. Now, what comes of that is they are definitely younger than our target demo. But I think in wearing the product, they're golfers. You're seeing the product in its element. It will resonate better when you're working with golfers as a golf brand. Best practice, work with golfers first. And then we're going to shoot with people who know how to shoot golf athletes. It's not the same to say, well, I can shoot cars, so I can shoot golfers. Swing dynamic, where you want to be, where the ball is going to come out, where the backswing is, where the follow through is. All that comes from the eye of someone who also knows the sport. So we have some really good shots from people who do that, and we're able to capture our athletes in that light. I'd say more top of the funnel, more public facing athlete endorsements are with a PGA Tour professional and a DP World Tour professional. So in PGA Tour is pretty much like the league. It's kind of like the NBA of golf. If you are going to be a professional golfer, you'll be a member of the PGA Tour. It's an organization that then you go and tour playing golf. It's different from the PGA of America, which is a member base for those who run in the business of golf. PGA professionals, Earl Cooper is one, our co-founder, and he is a PGA professional, so he's certified to teach instruction, and he could and has run a golf course if he wanted to. That's managing tee times, inventory at the club and the pro shop, staffing, like general golf course maintenance. Like, they're managing that from the top. You got everyone who can like execute for you, but golf pros run the golf industry and business. So Earl was one of those individuals, and as such has that mind and perspective of how to run what we call green grass accounts. When our product is going into a pro shop at a golf course, it's through a PGA professional. PGA Tour people are your professional athletes who go play on, Zurich Classic and or Genesis and play around the season that the PGA Tour has out. So our athletes, and then there's DP Tour. That was my point. DP World Tour is the European tour for professional athletes. Now those guys play and they're high ranked. You can be highly ranked, but a lot of them want that PGA Tour card.
Right.
Tour card. Yeah, you can play in Europe, and that's great. You can be in our second athlete is actually full status now on DP World Tour, getting his card, working hard to get his PGA Tour card. Eugenio Chacarra is our newest athlete. We're thrilled to have him on board because he is going to be the first professional golfer who went to college, was number 2 amateur ranked in the world, then went and played live golf for 3 years, then left live and is working his way back on PGA Tour for PGA Tour status. And so when I was talking,
I think it's fascinating, right? Because everyone talks about live, and one of the big draws is the amount of money that can be made there. So to hear you talk about him and how it's important for him, just because he probably grew up with PGA Tour being like the ultimate destination because live is so new. He's willing to be like, that's been nice, but I would like to go live the dream and go to what I feel the elite, league is, and make it happen there, even though he found success at live.
Exactly. He won on live. He had, great times being, like I say, poached, but left college, graduated college, and had a really nice opportunity. It's kind of like an NIL athlete, really, like where the money, I mean, Tiff is funding a different level of money over at Liz.
Right. Not this $1 million we're talking about this girl got. We're talking about something else.
Right. Exactly. But when you're 18, 19, 21 and you're seeing these millions of dollars thrown out, and and I'm not saying that everyone should follow that path, but he took it and now he's carving his own path, which is again synergies for Eastside. We're carving our own path within the golf space. That he's like, I'm good and I want to go. I made a lot of money and now I want to be great with the greats. I want to compete in the majors. I want the world golf ranking point and status. I want to be a household name and be on broadcast television. So that's what the PGA Tour and DP Tour are going to afford him, and we're excited to see his growth.
That's awesome. Mm-hmm. Well, on the NIL space, I think that, and you mentioned this, a lot of Olympic sport athletes are the ones that are really benefiting from this, and I personally feel like that's good for the trajectory of our U.S. Olympic teams. Honestly, good like point. If these folks aren't here in college spending these 4 years training, getting better, because for a lot of these sports they don't make the team until after, and then for some, like gymnastics, you can get on soon, but for those women and others, they have a chance to actually be normal and be students and still be Olympians, which is something that couldn't happen before. And I'm sure people made choices, some to pursue Olympics, some to pursue college, and as a country, I'm sure we didn't get we're now benefiting by having the best of both worlds, because they can have the best of both worlds.
Because they are funded, to go pursue that. Because to be any athlete in an Olympic sport and just not like right into the big three, you're going to have a job and then you're going to have to do your sport. Like the stories of the Olympics are often always so like, I worked this job here and I would train here and I would work this job here and train here just so I could get my dream. If you're coming out of college with a 4-year, maybe 5-year term because you stayed for your master's, because you're getting money, and then you can come out and say, I can work on my craft without having to also sacrifice like 9 to 5 hours as well. Like, go for it. I just am like, just please make sound money decisions. Be surrounded by people who know how to manage the money, because we will hear horror stories. It's just inevitable. They will come. I'm bracing for that part.
Well, to that point, as we talk NIL, it's a really great segue, because I've been thinking about the diversity of the brands and companies that are starting to play in sports marketing. So to your point, you definitely need more financial services getting involved with these NIL student athletes. And I think a lot of the schools have mandates that their student success or student athlete development departments are supposed to provide some level of financial literacy, but that's usually a broad 1 time a year, 2 time a year seminar. But
and how often are you paying attention to that?
Right. It's like 7:00 at night. You done had a 5 a.m. practice plus a full class load, got the itis because the cafeteria gave you some good food, whatever it may be. So yeah, they're not really paying attention. So how do you ensure, especially ones that are making decent money, to ensure they have that financial literacy? So I think that financial services brands, I haven't heard a lot about them from the NIL space. I mean, I know that like we talked about on the show one week how Flage was doing something with Experian. So you're starting to see people, adjacent to like that sort of thing come through. But I think there's more opportunity.
For sure.
But then there's also surprise. Just yesterday I was scrolling social and I saw the red carpet arrivals for the Chicago Sky. And these red carpet arrivals were presented by Red Lobster. And I was like, man, this seems fishy. Laughing at myself
you
there.
Needed to get that in.
I was so shocked at it. Red Lobster, like honestly, the last conversations I recall around Red Lobster were like cheddar bee biscuits, or
CEO who's like, we're gonna do this thing differently.
That part. I'd love to like kind of talk about that. Brands are like, you know what, this is a moment. It's a chance to like reposition ourselves, like jump into it.
I think it's the leadership. One, it's like they messed up and let millennials have kids, like that kind of vibe. It's like you messed up and let us run companies, and so it's what it's gonna look like. We're gonna do a little bit different. We're gonna challenge the system. Maybe add humor to the business model if we need to. Show up in unexpected places, because what are they competing with? Is the attention span of people who've grown up being distracted, so to speak. Like, the fight for back in my college days, like you're fighting for screen time, and now it's like the channel diversification is like they're actually not watching television, they're streaming something, and what are they streaming, and how YouTube is massive on its user base, just almost as much as Google. I was looking at some analytics about our social deliveries, and YouTube is definitely a place where we would need to be because there are more eyeballs there than just general Google. And so you've got these younger or innovative thinkers now making decisions for brands that it's like, no, we're not going to be the traditional space. And I'm excited about it. It's going to challenge others in this space to be like, okay, where else can we can be creative? I mean, brands partnering, even like Sprite and Eastside Golf, to move a product that Sprite put in market, for the summer, is wildly creative. You're not necessarily, back in the day, it was athletes, and I think that's still a thing. You can definitely get an athlete endorser to help, move a product. Socially, we swung very far into the influencer space for a while and saw that crumble and change a bit. Now it's, what about brands partnering with brands, validating that affiliate branding, that co-merchandising your product. So you're bringing validation into both spaces. Brands are needing to show that because the consumers are like, if it's not real, I really don't want it. They chat GPT aside and AI side. What they really want is real, connection with the products they're engaging with.
Yeah, no, I love that. And I'm all about, two brands getting together, ones that have, something in common. And also similarly this week, in this one, I'm still feeling my way through it in terms of what I think about it. But Sherwin Williams, the paint brand, yes, just did a deal where they have a color. I forgot the name of the color. It'll come to me. But where that color, they partnered with Dapper Dan, and he helped create a custom outfit for Paige Beckers that I think she wore to their, like, either their home when she went back home to Minnesota. She's from Minnesota. They played the Lynx. So, but still, everyone's looking at the tunnel walks. The color was a lilac color, and they collaborated. So you had Paige Beckers, you had Dapper Dan, and you had Sherwin Williams, the paint brand. It was about the color. So it was a lot happening there, but it came together. So I do think that I'm sure all of their eyeballs, all their followings, all their spheres of influence, saw this. And I'm sure that gave it a ton of reach. But without knowing a ton about Sherwin Williams, particular as a brand, and that color lilac and why that was important, Dapper Dan, I know. Paige Beckers, I knew. Like, it was trying to pull it all together and understand it.
I would give credit, and I haven't seen all of. I need to do my read in on that. I would give credit to Sherwin Williams if that was where it originated, because the blend of fashion and sport is where the next level is. And tunnel walks, you mentioned that picked up recent years. It's now like it's true like fashion runway for these athletes for a moment. It's like I can walk my runway there. For a brand to say, let's merge where everyone is anyway in fashion and sport, and we're going to put ourselves in the mix, is brilliant. As a fashion brand with Eastside, we have our athletes in the golf space. We have strong appeal with athletes not in golf, basketball players, football players, soccer players. They love our product. And they wear it in their environments. I think the next phase and I'm very still, what am I, 3 months in the fashion space? But what I'm learning and trying to discern is, where will fashion innovate with sport next is next. And, where fashion and gaming can come into play to get that consumer eye. It's that creativity. Fashion's being far more centered. I think music had its ride, and it still is, but music was driving a lot of partnerships and content, I'd say the 2000s. And but now it seems fashion has taken a front seat. So I'm keeping an eye out for anyone doing very fun fashion collabs.
No, I think that's very, very true. Part of me wondered if this was like a part one, and then all of a sudden we're going to see that Sherwin Williams is like, they're painting all the carpets. Maybe it's going to be lilac here, it's going to be red there, but it's all Sherwin-Williams, like everywhere, in terms of doing these carpets, because that is their product, right? You know,
got to paint the wall with something.
Let them see the brushes going sometime, and like, you know, connect the dots that way. I don't know.
No, I love it. Very
Anywho, well, I thank you so much for spending so much time with me today. It was so much fun to hear about what's doing Eastside Golf, and just thanks for joining and sharing your insights of what's happening in the industry.
Well, thank you for building this platform and inviting me to join it. This is so much fun.
Awesome. Well, this is the end of episode 7 of How the Business Has Played. Thank you so much for tuning in. Bye.